Hi guys, it's Sam from Creatively Sam's, and today I've made a candy heart wreath. If you want to see how I did this, stay tuned. It's coming up next. Well, for the last week off and on, I've been painting wood, and you know me, I like to put a base coat of white on all of my wood pieces, just because it leaves whatever paint color I use to be true. It's not muddied up by wood grain and the shades of wood. It's nice and bright and clear. So I started, I've got a whole bunch of these big ones. I got some at the Dollar Tree. I had gotten some at Joann's using coupons. But I've had them in my stash for a while. Heck, I was even painting more stars, and I dug out all of my different size hearts, got bigs and littles, and I got a whole bunch of big hearts up here drying, and they're all base coated in the white. For some of the projects that I'm planning on doing, you know, the candy hearts that you can buy that says kiss me, love me, hug me. Well, I've decided to make some of those. So I got out some pastel shades, and I got a baby blue, a baby pink, a lavender. This actually has more of a lilac shade than lavender, but this one is a melon, and I'm not sure if this is too dark or not. I may have to mix this with some white to lighten it up, but that's the only shade that I had on hand. I've got my, what is that, pale daffodil yellow, and that's a nice bright yellow, but it's not intense. It's still on the pastel shades. Now, as far as mint goes, I didn't have any, and this is the only projects that I'd be using mint for. So what I did was I took some of my shamrock green and I mixed it with white, and I got a mint shade, and it's going to keep needing shaken, but yeah, this is a nice light mint, and it's like a 50-50 between the shamrock and the white. And then I have Royal Rouge, and I think this is going to be good for the writing. It's a nice rosy color. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to base coat these in the pastels. I'm not real sure how many I'm going to use yet, but it's going to be pretty even, and I've got some of the little ones I may use too, but like these are a little bit smaller. So we will see which ones I decide to use. Well, I finally got all my hearts painted. I just wanted to let you know that this melon, I ended up using a 50-50 mix of melon and white, as I did with the green. That was 50 new shamrock and 50 white. So, and I even painted the grandbaby's little school bus that I'm working on. And I've got all my hearts up here. And these are for a couple of projects that I'm doing. But they're all up there drying. After everything's completely dry, I'll be putting some wording on them. And we'll be back. Okay, what I did was I took a pencil and I outlined the hearts on rolled paper. And then I cut them out. And then I folded these in half. And that way, I can just line it up and make my line across here. to give me a general idea of where I'm going to put the lettering. And do the bottom one, and I'll write the message on the top and the other half of the message on the bottom. I'm going to lightly do this in pencil first, and then I'll be painting over. I actually found it easier to cut the heart in half, and that way I just laid it down over the bottom and put the first word in, and then I wrote the second one in, and like I said, I penciled it in lightly, and once I had it all the way I wanted it, then I just took a very, very thin paintbrush with some of the rose Royal Rouge paint. And I thought about using a red Sharpie, and I may do that for the smaller ones, but I think the color is off. So, now that these are all dry, and I repeated the same thing for a large heart. And so that's going to go in the middle of the wreath. So I'm going to get this mess cleaned up, and I'm going to start working on my grapevine wreath. I'm using the one that I had originally painted white. Well, I went through my ribbons, and I found this in my stash. And this stuff is so old that the wire is starting to yellow just slightly. So this is going to be its last year. So I just decided that I was going to put a little bit of the ribbon going around to give me a base to work with. And I added one of my 5-minute bows to the top, and I'll put a card somewhere up here for the tutorial for that in case you don't know how to do it. Then I got out my bag of ribbons, and I have got tons and tons of ribbons, and I mean these and these and more of these. And this is basically ribbons that I have that I can't even fit in my ribbon drawer. I've got entirely too much stuff. And like I said, I am using up as much as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some more bows and loops and with all these different colors. And we're going to fit them in here. And then we're going to start playing with some flowers and get some hearts going. Okay, I took all of the ribbons, and these are about 15 inches long. You can make them as long as you want, but I just stacked them with the largest ones on the bottom, and took a very thin wire and gathered them together. Now I'm going to separate these wires, and I'm going to loop the ribbons on either side. And I mean, if I had made these a lot longer, I could adjust on a shoestring bow, but I didn't. So I've got the 2 loops going on either side, and I'm going to bring these wires down and twist it in the back. And these aren't going to be twisted overly tight for a couple reasons. One, it's really thin wire and I don't want it to break, and 2, if I need to adjust, I can just pull the bottom and make it as long as I want. And I'm only doing 3, and I could do a whole lot more, but I have other things I want to go in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue this to the center. It's always so hard for me to get an entire wreath in here. I'm going to hot glue this to the center, and then I'm going to start adding some flowers and some of the hearts. And I'm just cutting off the excess wire so they can glue down in flat. And I'm going to do one there, and probably right about here, and one on the other side. While I had the thin wire out, I put it on the large heart, and I'm just going to tuck that around the bow. And I may have to shorten this up just a little bit, but I'll decide after I get the ribbons glued in. Okay, I got all the hearts glued onto the ribbon, and I was going to do roses because roses are so romantic to me, but I want to keep up with the same pastel colors that I used in the candy hearts. So I got some of the, I got these last Easter, I think, and they're all the Dollar Tree baby breath. So I'm going to take these apart and I'm going to put them in between the hearts. Well, I cut all the flowers up and I put them around the hearts like I said I was going to do. And I think that this is giving it just enough color and enough brightness to welcome in Valentine's Day. All the little sayings that I used pretty much pertain to my husband and myself. And there it is. So if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and happy creating, everyone.